Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial session, we'll learn about route table, internet gateway, network ACL, security group, and the difference between the network ACL and security group in hands-on way. I hope you like the session, but before that, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, do subscribe the channel, click on the bell icon so that you will get notified whenever I upload new videos. Also, if you didn't watch my last week's session on AWS VPC Subnet, please do watch that. The link is mentioned in the description section as well as in the first comment, because that will be the prerequisite for this session. Okay, but of course you can continue this session and later you can watch that also. Okay, now let's get started. So the very first topic of today is what exactly is the VPC route table. So the VPC has an implicit router and you use the route tables to control where the network traffic is directed. Each subnet in your VPC must be associated with a routing table which controls the routing for the subnet, which is the subnet route table. You can explicitly associate a subnet with a particular route table. Otherwise, the subnet is implicitly associated with the main route table. A subnet can only associate it with one route table at a time, but you can associate multiple subnets with the same subnet route table. Now, enough talk. Let me show you the example so you'll even understand better. So, let me show you. So, this is your AWS screen you will normally see if you log in into AWS. Now, search for VPC. Now, let's create a VPC. So, click on the VPC. Then you can see the option called create VPC. Simply click on that. You can see option. Let's call it demo VPC. Okay, it will be easy to understand then. And the tendency will be default. And the main important part here is the IPv4 CIDR block. So for that, give 10.0.0.0/16. Now, if you're not sure about why I did this, you must watch the subnet session that I did last week. Okay, and again, the link is in the description as well in the first comment. Do watch that. So after entering the CIDR block data, let's go down and click on create VPC. So we have created the VPC. Now you can see here the thing here, the main route table. So as soon as we create a VPC, a route table get created automatically. Understand that part, and this is very important. If you click on this route table, you will see right now there is not much, only you can see the VPC is connected. But if you go to the subnet association, you'll see no data because we didn't have any subnets right now. So what we should be doing now, what is about subnets. But before going to that, you can see here some routes, and you can see here the target, you can see destination, target, status. Let's first understand the key concept or the key keywords first. It will be easy to understand when I do some actual work. Okay, now let's go back to our documentation. So here the key concepts are main route table. So the route table that automatically comes with your VPC, it controls the routing for all subnets that are not explicitly associated with any route table. Now you can see here that we didn't create that manually, right? It created automatically. So this is the main route table that we just talked now, and you can see the default direction, like is a default VPC CIDR block. Its target is a local, that is coming to the main route table. Okay, status is active and protocol is no. Now let's get back to the documentation again. The second thing is the custom route table. Now, what is the custom route table? Custom route table, you create custom way that don't create automatically, you create manually or via some code. That is the custom route table. I'll be showing that in short. Okay. Now we have the route table association. So the association between the route table and a subnet, internet gateway or virtual gateway is called the route table association. Then we have the subnet route table. A route table that associated with the subnet, we call it subnet route table. Then we have destination. Now you can just see here itself, this destination part. The destination is the range of IP address where you want traffic to go. For example, an external corporate network, whatever CIDR range we have. For us, it's the destination is our VPC. Okay. Now let's create a subnet so I can show you more data on that. So simply go to subnets, and if you click on create subnet, you will see an option to select the VPC. Now we called our VPC a demo VPC. Simply click on that, and you can see our private CIDR block ranges from the 10.0.0/16, and we have subnets. So let's first create one subnet, and to create subnet we need to mention the CIDR block range here. Let's calculate that. Now simply go to Google and search for subnet calculator. You will see the very first www.calculator.net. Simply click on that. Now here go down and you can see here the option IPv4 subnet calculator. There in the IP address, now we have selected this as our IP address, right? This 10.0 that thing. Now simply copy here and you can see the divider. Now you have to experiment understand how many range you want. For us, we'll go with the 21. Simply click on calculate, and just to understand, each subnet will have 2048 IPs, but 5 IPs are reserved. And the very first one that is get reserved, which is the like the first one that is 01. For each case, you can see these are our ranges. Okay, you can see from 10.0.01 to 10.00 10.0.7.254. Similarly, the 10.0.8 to 10.0.15. Similarly, we have this many ranges available, or you can say 32 possible subnet we can create by having a /21 range. Okay, /21 subnet, we can create 32 possible subnets. Now, the very first one, we'll just go with that. That is from 10.0.0.1. Let's go there. Call it subnet 1, and we can call it demo VPC subnet 1, just for our understanding. And of course, each subnet has to be one particular availability zone. So for our example, we have 1 2 3 4. We can go with the first one, Oregon, and you can see here as asking for IPv4 area block, paste that slash. Now we have selected to go for the 21, right? Now go down and click on create subnet, and you can see here it created, and you can see here it's saying that 2043. I have told you the 5 IPs get reserved. Okay, let's understand what are those 5. So if you look for AWS VPC subnet 5 IP reservation, simply click on the first link. If you go down and down, you can see these are the 5 addresses which is reserved by AWS. And the very first one, you can see 10.0.0.1, that reserved by the AWS VPC router. And exactly what you're talking about here, the VPC router is reserving the first IP. Okay, now simply go back, and we can see here we have available 2043 IP addresses. Now similar way, we should create another one just to understand how this works. So click on create subnet and select the demo VPC again, and in the subnet name, let's call it demo VPC say subnet 2. This time we are selecting some other availability zone, let's say 2P. And in the private IP range, remember the very first one you have utilized, so this range we have already utilized. We have to select the next one. So next available is the 10.0.8.1. let's copy that, and let's go for 21. Similar way, click on create subnet. You can see here 2043. So simply go now to the route table. Now here you can see this second one is for the demo VPC. You can see from here the VPC link. So simply click on that route table. Now here you can see the very first one, that is the default getting added 10.0/16 local and status active, which is fine. Now click on subnet association, and you can see subnet without explicit association. That means we are not explicitly assigned the subnet to this particular table, but by default this any traffic come by this router will go to the main route table. Okay, now we can simply click on this edit subnet association, and click the subnet 1 we want to add in the main route table. And you can see now under subnet association, the first one you have selected, the demo VPC subnet 1 is added under the explicit subnet association. Now we have added the first subnet into the default router. Now let's do one thing. We can simply click on create route table, and we can call it demo VPC subnet 1 router. Okay, and you can select the VPC, say demo VPC, and click on create route table. And you can see the subnet association, none. But you have one available because that we didn't explicitly define anywhere else. So we can simply click on edit subnet association and select the subnet 2. Let's see. You can see subnet association. We have explicitly assigned the demo VPC subnet 2 to this route table, and it will not go anymore to the main route table. So that's how we can assign the route table. But what if I want to add the subnet 1 in this route table also? How can I do that? Now this is the secondary one, right? It's not the main route table, the secondary route table. So simply click on subnet association, and you want to add the demo VPC subnet 1 also. If you do that, if you click on save association, now that subnet will get added to this new route table also. Suppose you go to the come here and you can see both added here. Now let's go back to route tables, and we had this one, right? The main route table. So let's rename it as the main route table. Save it. And you can see if you click on that and go to the subnet association, this doesn't have any explicit subnet association because one subnet can have only one router. Okay, remember that one subnet can have maximum one router, but one router can have multiple subnets. So this is how the rule is. Okay, now that you have understand what exactly is the VPC route table, now let's jump to the next topic, which is what is internet gateway. Now while discussing about the route table, is a very important to understand the internet gateway as well, because we have to understand how the traffic is coming to the VPC and how the traffic is going to the internet. Okay, and internet gateway play a very important role having the internet communication. Okay, so what is exactly internet gateway? Internet gateway is a horizontal scaled, redundant and highly available VPC component that allow communication between your VPC and the internet. So understand very carefully that if you don't have an internet gateway attached to your VPC will not have an internet connection. It cannot download any file from outside internet. It cannot communicate with the internet. Okay, even you cannot access your VPC from anywhere. So the internet gateway serves two purposes. One, to provide a target in your VPC route tables for internet routing traffic. Second is to perform network address translation for instances that have been assigned a public IPv4 address. Now the key point to understand here, there is 2 points to understand very importantly. One is what is public subnet here and what is the private subnet. So if a subnet is associated with a route table that has a route to the internet gateway, it's known as the public subnet. That means whatever instance you add under that particular subnet, that instances can have the internet access. Okay, and so this is a public subnet. Now what is a private subnet then? If a subnet is associated with a route table that does not have a route to the internet gateway, it's known as a private subnet, which means it doesn't have any internet connection. This is private. Okay, so now enough talk. Let me show you practically how it looks like. Okay, so we have right now two subnets. Okay, under this particular this demo VPC, you can see here you have two subnets, isn't it? Now this two at the moment is private because both of the subnets route table doesn't have any internet gateway. Now suppose you want one subnet to have internet connection and one subnet should not have internet connection. Remember, then you have to have separate route table for these two subnets. So let's go to our route tables. At the moment, both are added to the this demo VPC subnet 1 router. Now let's just have it one and remove one association. So subnet association, let's edit the subnet association so we can make one public and one private. So the very first one, let's make the demo VPC subnet 1 as the public subnet and demo VPC subnet 2 as the private subnet. Okay, let's do that. So first that, let's save the association so it will get removed, and as soon as you remove it, it get added to the main routing table. Always understand that part, very important. Now you can see here edit routes, click on that and add route. Let's say to make sure that internet is available there, the destination has to be like all, because it should not define as any particular IP. Internet is vast and it can have any kind of IP addresses with any kind of range. Okay, and you can see internet gateway. Now if you try to add an internet gateway, let's see, Right now we don't have internet gateway because we didn't attach any internet gateway to this VPC. That's why it's not available here. So the very first thing you have to do is to create an internet gateway and attach the internet gateway with the VPC. Now let's go to the VPC, and you can see here internet gateways. Click on that. Now you can see an option called create internet gateway. Click on that, and let's say name demo VPC internet gateway. The very first thing you'll see, the state is detached because we didn't have attached any VPC with this internet gateway. That's why it's calling detached. So let's go back. Now let's select the internet gateway that you recently created. This is the one, demo VPC internet gateway. Right click and you can see attached to VPC. Let's click on that, and there you can select the VPC. Of course, you can have only one internet gateway with one VPC. So simply click on that and attach the gateway. Now you added it, but still this VPC doesn't have any internet access because you added just attached with the VPC, but you didn't create any route table rule. So the very first thing is that you have to create a route table rule for a particular subnet. Then only that VPC via that subnet will have the internet access, otherwise not. Understand that very carefully. Now let's go to the route table. Right now I have one route table for the subnet 1, and let's create another route table. Let's call it demo VPC subnet 2 route table, and the VPC is again the demo VPC. Now we have created the subnet. Now you can see the subnet association here. Now go down and you can see subnet without any explicit association. The following subnet have not been explicitly associated with any route table and therefore associated with the main route table. We have to make sure this subnet get added to this new route table. Okay, so click on edit subnet association and then select the demo VPC subnet 2 and save the association. Now we have added the subnet 1 with the subnet 1 VPC router and subnet 2 with subnet 2 VPC router. Okay, now let's go back to the route table. Now we have to make one subnet as a public subnet. So simply click on the very first one. You can see here demo VPC subnet 1 router, and if you click on the routes, you can see that option. Now click on edit routes and add a new route. Now we have to add route to the internet. Okay, so for that you have to select 0.0.0/0 and the target should be the internet gateway. So search for internet gateway. You can see the option called internet gateway. Click on that, and then now we can see the internet gateway available because we have attached the internet gateway with the VPC. Previously it was not showing, right? Now it's showing. So select on that and save changes. So at the moment we have two subnets. One subnet is connected to the internet because we have added the internet gateway. You can see this is the subnet 1. So if you click on the route table ID, you can see the here it is connected to the internet gateway. We have another subnet route table which is demo VPC subnet 2, where in the routes you have only two local. This is private and it doesn't have a internet gateway attached to it. That means it's the private one. Okay, now understand what is private subnet and what is the public subnet. Okay, so now that you have understand the internet gateway in depth way, let's move to the next one, which is network ACL, and this is very important. A network access control list or ACL is an optional layer of security to your VPC that act as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of one or more subnet. You might set up network ACL with the rules similar to your security groups in order to add an additional layer of security to your VPC. Now we will discuss about security groups just after this one, but let's understand what is exactly network ACL and why it's needed, and I'll be showing you demo. But before that, let's understand the network ACL components. So first is the rule number. So the rule number are evaluated starting with lowest number rule. As soon as a rule match the traffic, it applied regardless of any higher number rule that might contradict it. So you can see the lowest get the preference. Then you have the type. So the type of the traffic, for example, let's just say you can also specify all traffic or a custom range. Okay, now we have protocol. You can specify any protocol that has a standard protocol number. Now we have the port range, the listening port or port range for the traffic. For example, port 80 for HTTP traffic. The source of the traffic, usually a CIDR range where you mention from which area the traffic will come. Then you have destination, the destination for the traffic, of course again this area range where you can mention what could be the possible range for the destination, and allow or deny. So whether to allow or deny a specific traffic. Now we understand the basic components. Let's see the demo to understand actually what it is. So let's see here. So let's go back to our VPCs and select the demo VPC that we have just created a few minutes back. You can see here the main network ACL. Now as soon as you create a new VPC, the default or main network ACL created with that. Okay, now if you click on the ACL, let's click on the ACL ID, and you can see the subnet association. By default both of the subnets are associated, and you can see here the inbound rules is right now that 100 all traffic, and it's allowing all the traffic. And you can see the star. Suppose you don't have any rule set for any particular range, then it will come to the this star range, which is by default all deny. So for now you're allowing all traffic. Suppose you have allowed port 80 from any range and you didn't allow any port, that means any traffic coming for other ports will be denied, because that will fall to the asterisk, and all traffic matching to all protocol, all port range, source, anything will be denied. So understand very carefully, whatever rule you have as a number, that will get the preference. Okay, now the outbound. Now outbound also the same. You can see all traffic is allowed by default, and asterisk is if you didn't mention any particular rule, it will be denied by default. Now that you have understand that, let's get back to our documentation. So let's go back here. Let's understand the key points in the network ACL. So the VPC automatically comes with a modified default network ACL. By default, it allows all inbound and all outbound IPv4 traffic, and if applicable IPv6, and I have just shown you. Okay, we can create a custom network ACL associated with a subnet. By default, each custom network ACL denies all inbound and outbound traffic. Now let me create a new subnet, like a custom subnet, and I'll see the behavior of it. So simply come here and click on network ACLs, click on create network ACL. Let's call it demo VPC subnet 1 NACL. So this is the one we have created here, and because the name, from the name we can tell the demo VPC subnet 1 ACL. And if you click on inbound rules, right now all are by default denied. Remember the default that is created with the VPC had allowed all inbound and outbound allowed, but for this we have nothing allowed. Let's click on the outbound, it is the same. So all traffic is blocked, and for the inbound also all traffic is blocked. Now suppose you want to say allow the port 80. So let's click on edit inbound rules and add new rule. There you are calling the rule number. Now remember the lowest get the preference. So let's start with 100 and let's call it the HTTP, this one HTTP, and you are saying from any source allow it. Okay, you have either allow or deny. So if you deny, that will never get past any traffic. If you select allow, that traffic will be allowed to come because it's inbound or ingress. That means the traffic is incoming. Okay, so allow it. Now click on save changes. So this is, you can see here the inbound rule, we have allowed the port 80. Now that doesn't mean that it will allow you the port 80 outbound as well. It allows the port 80 incoming connections. Okay, now suppose for the outbound you want to allow port 443, because most of the cases HTTPS side if you want to access. So again click on new rule and say 100, and you can select the custom TCP and mention the TCP port, or if you about sure like which one you want to enter, say HTTPS, you can say allow and save changes. That means any component, let's say any EC2 or any resource want to allow the outside internet with this particular HTTPS, it will be allowed there. Okay, so now that we have added the rules, but we didn't have any subnet association here, so nowhere to actually enforce this kind of rules. So what you should be doing here, click on edit subnet association from the network ACL, and you can see we had created two subnets, right? So demo VPC subnet 1 and demo VPC subnet 2. Now select the demo VPC subnet 1 and click on save changes. and for that particular subnet that we have attached with this particular NACL, it will allow the rule there. Okay, now till now I have shown you the allow rule, right? Now let me show you example of the deny rule as well. So simply click on inbound rules. Now for example, we want to deny all the SSH connections. So let's click on add new rule and let's give it a 101. Make sure this is inbound rules, and in the instead of custom TCP, let's select the SSH, that's port 22, and you can see we are denying it instead of allowing. So no one should be able to access the port 22. And let's say save changes, and you can see here in the inbound rules we have added port 22 deny, and the number and the rule number is 101 because it's go from the smaller to upper, right? So 101 because first we are allowing the port 100, then we are denying the port 101. Now let's suppose we are already allowing port 443. Now we want to make sure no other outside port should be allowed. How to achieve that? Simply click on edit inbound rules, and we already know that it go via the from smaller to upper. So first it will for sure allow the 100 rule, that is HTTPS 443. Now click on add new rule and let's call it 101, and let's say all traffic, that is deny. So as soon as it's 443 port, it's definitely allowed, but any other traffic it will explicitly deny. Now save changes, and that will make sure that you the internet access only have the port 443, nothing else. Okay, that you can achieve. A very good use case of this network is, suppose one IP is targeting your instances and you want to block all these IPs. You can simply come here and click on inbound rules and simply click on add new rule. Let's say 102, and you want to block all kind of access. Simply select all traffic, and this source range, let's say for example, what is my IP? So my IP, and this is the one. Just go and 32. Okay, so simply add that, okay, to that is my IP and /32. Make sure only block this IP, and if you say deny, that means that IP, whatever IP you want to block will be blocked, and that IP will be no more able to attack your resources. Okay, if you block them, you can see deny and save changes. That is how you add a network security layer. Okay, I hope you understand now. So we have covered a lot of points, isn't it, already? Like each subnet in a PVC must have associated network ACL. If you don't explicitly associate a subnet with a network ACL, the subnet automatically associated with the default network. I have already shown this, and you can associate a network ACL with multiple subnets. However, a subnet can associate it with only one network ACL at a time. When we associate a network ACL with a subnet, the previous association is removed. Now let me show you that part. So come back here, and let's say we have created this subnet, right? And let's say we must have that VPC must have a default one. Okay, so let's go there and say this is the demo VPC we have created, and this is the main network ACL. Let's call it the name as main ACL, the demo VPC main ACL. Now save it, and if you click on the subnet association, you can see only one, that VPC subnet 2 associated. Now what will happen if we add the one again? So this is the one that we have added in another network ACL. Now save the changes, and you will see that is now associated with this main network ACL, and the previous network and in the previous, and from the newly created ACL it will get removed. Now let's go to the ACL. Now just to confirm, let's go to the network ACLs, and if you click on the demo VPC subnet 1 NACL, if you click on the subnet association, you can see that automatically remove. So this is the point that I want to prove. Okay, now you already seen that a network ACL has a separate inbound and outbound rules. Each rule can either allow or deny traffic. Already seen that. Network ACL are stateless, which means that responses to allowed inbound traffic are subject to the rules for the network outbound traffic. Okay, and of course the network ACL contains a number of list of rules and the lower will get the priority. Important that you can add only maximum 32,766 number of rules. Okay, now here you can see two ACL. One is the custom ACL and one is the default network ACL. And you can see from the custom we have just showing that 100, the 120, the HTTP, HTTPS, SSH. We are allowing that. Similarly, in the outbound, we are allowing the one. You can see the HTTPS, the SSH, and all. That is from inbound and outbound. We are both allowing, but that is a custom network ACL where we are allowing manually or maybe via the codes. And you can see the default when you create the main VPC, the above one get created automatically, where all the traffic inbound and all the traffic outbound allowed by default. And this is very important to understand because in the certification exam as well as in the interview question also this gets asked. Okay, so you must understand very carefully. Now the next very important thing is the security group. So what is security group? A security group act as a virtual firewall for your instance to control inbound and outbound traffic. When you launch an instance in a VPC, you can assign up to 5 security group to the instance. Security group act as an instance level and not the subnet level. You must understand this even very carefully. Therefore, each instance in a subnet in your VPC can be assigned to a different set of security groups. And this is very helpful. You will understand while I show you the demo. So key points here to understand: you can specify allow rules and only allow rules. You cannot add a deny rule. You can allow deny rule in the NACLs. That is a network access control list, not here. You can specify separate rule for inbound and outbound traffic that you have. Security group rules enable you to filter traffic based on the protocol and the port number. Security group are stateful. So if we send a request from our instance, the response traffic for the request is allowed to flow in regardless of inbound security group. Responses to allowed inbound traffic are allowed to flow out regardless of your outbound rules. Okay. When you first create a security group, it has no inbound rules. Therefore, no inbound traffic originating from another host to the instance is allowed until unless you add the inbound rules to the security group, and vice versa for outbound rules. If no rules mentioned, it will not allow any outbound traffic. Instances associated with the security group can't talk to each other unless you add the rules allowing the traffic. Exception, the default security group that has these rules by default. Now enough talk, let me show you some demo so you can understand even better way. Okay, so let's go back to our VPC, and you can see this is the VPC you have created, and this is the main route table. This is the mix in the main network ACL. So simply copy this ID and go to the just after the network ACL. You can see the option called security groups. Now click on that. Now already define what exactly security group is. Now let me show you what it looks like and how it works. And you can see by default one security group is created and no other, like one default security you have, that is this one. Okay, that is default security group for this particular VPC. And you can see here it has two sections. One is the inbound rules, we call this for the ingress traffic, and we have outbound for the egress traffic. Okay, so we have here, you can see by default it created one security group rule which is all traffic is allowing, okay, between the security group of C25. You can see security group ID and it's allowing itself. So any instances you connect, let's say 5 instances you're adding to this particular security group, each instances can talk to each other or communicate with each other if you have this rule. Now by default this is added. If you create a new one, it will be not there. I will show you how. And this is an inbound part, right? Now for the outbound part, you can see you have a default rule which is allowing all that outbound traffic. Okay, now what will happen if you create a fresh security group? Let me show you. Click on the create security group, and this is the, let's say, demo VPC new security group. Okay, and in the description you can add created for test. And importantly here you have to make sure paste the VPC ID or select the VPC ID, that is the demo VPC. Click on that. Now you have the option to add two kind of rules. One is the inbound rule and one is the outbound rule. Now if you don't mention anything, okay, now this is the you see, this is by default AWS suggesting, but if you don't want any outbound connection from any of VPC, you can simply delete it. Okay, and if you click on create security group, you can see there is no inbound rule and there is no outbound rule. Now if you add any instance to this particular security group, that instance will not have any inbound or outbound access. So no inbound access and no outbound access, right? To allow the inbound access, you have to go to the inbound rules and click on edit inbound rule, and there you have to add rule. Suppose we want to allow port 80, port 443. Okay, so let's do that. So port, you can see here HTTP port 80, and we can allow either all IPv4, IPv6, my IP. So let's say we want to allow all the IP, so it will be anywhere IPv4, and you can see here the save changes. Click on it and see that will get added. Now if you want to add more rule, you can of course add multiple rule at once. Let's say we want to add port the SSH one, and maybe now you can always select the HTTPS like this, or you can say custom TCP. You can add any custom TCP, and let's say port 443, and from anywhere, say anywhere. For the it's recommended for the port 22, allow only your IP which you can trust. Okay, and you can see it automatically added the rule set, the CIDR block here. Now click on save rules, and that's it. Now inbound part, you have HTTP, that is default port 80 allowed. You have the SSH 22 allowed only for your IP. You can select like that, or any IP you want to add for it. And you have for HTTPS, you can see I have added port 443 from anywhere in the world, that is 0.0.0/0. That means from anywhere the traffic will be allowed. Okay, now you understand how to utilize the port range, the protocol, the security group, and the source. If you want to allow from only particular IP range, you can mention via the CIDR block range. If you are not sure from which the traffic will come, allow everything. If you are sure from where the traffic will come, then you can mention the IP and the range here. Okay, similarly, now right now there is no outbound access allowed, so you have to select, let's say if you just suppose you want to allow all the traffic, so click add rule and all, select all TCP, you can here, or maybe all traffic you want to allow, and let's say custom anywhere IPv4 or anywhere IPv6. Okay, now save the rules, and now if you add any instance to this particular security group, that instance will have the port 80, port 22, port 443 opened, and it can communicate with any internet because you have allowed all the traffic range and all the port range for CI destination CIDR anywhere. Okay, this is how the security group works. I have already shown you the demo, like how the custom security group works, and of course the default security group also have shown you. Now let's jump to the next thing, which is the comparison between the security group and the network ACL. Now the problem is that it's very confusing to many people, and both sounded somehow the same, but which isn't. I mean, both are different. You already I have shown you the like clear differences, but just let me rewind a bit. So the security group operates at the instance level. So you add a security group to an instance. So how it is, you let me show you. So you can see here, you can simply go to the EC2. We create EC2 instance. Let me show you. See, launch instance. Let's click on the launch instance. There we select the OS or AMI image that you want to go for. Then we select the the resource type or EC2 instance type. Then we go for the next configure instance details, where we select what should be the subnet ID, okay, or what should be the VPC. Let's say the VPC you have created, and what should be the subnet ID. So let's say the demo will be subnet 1, and then you can see either go for auto assign. So make sure that that has a public. For the public, you will have a public IP. If it's not attached an internet gateway, it will be a private. Okay, so remember that. Now click on the next, add storage. Here you add your storage, what you want to add, tags if you want, and then you have the security group. Now you can select the security group that we have created. You can remember I have created one new security group, that is demo VPC. You select and see the HTTP, HTTPS and all that coming. If you want to create something new, you can of course create something new here, or otherwise you can select the existing one, and you can select multiple security group as well. Okay, and it can verify the rules any order. Okay, but if you want to go for a new only one, you can like go for this one, say default, or say this one. Okay, and you can see here what rules are allowed. Okay, so the port 80, port 22 and port 43 allowed, which is the normally for application is allowed. It's some kind of normal one. Okay, and then you can go leave and launch, and you can launch the instance. If you have any existing key pair, you go with it and launch the instance. So that's how we do for the security group. So that's how we attach the security group with the instance. Okay, but network ACL operates on the subnet level. Now let me just remind you. So let's go to the VPC and let's go to the network ACL here. Let's select the one that you have created, this one, and you can see it's subnet level. So subnet association. Right now, since I removed to that main subnet table, now if you want to say we want to add any subnet, and we can add like this, that subnet ID, and save changes. This is how we do for the network ACL. Okay, now you understand the difference between the one of the big difference, that is the security group for the instance, and subnet is the network ACL for the subnet. Okay, now let's look at the next difference. Now security group supports only the allow rule. Now already seen that, I've just shown you recently, and the network ACL support both allow rule as well as deny rule. Now let me just revise it for you. So let's go to the there. This is for the network ACL. You can see it has inbound rules and outbound rules, just like the security group, but you can see it has the allow and deny. So you can either allow or deny. But if you go to the security group, and let's say this one, and if you go to the inbound rules or any inbound and outbound, you don't have any deny rule. You can just allow rule you can add. Okay, that's one of the big difference. Let's go for the next one. Now security group, it's stateful, so return traffic is automatically allowed regardless of any rules. And for the network ACL, it's stateless, so return traffic must be explicitly allowed by the rules. So what it means? So what is the stateful and what is the stateless? So the stateful is, suppose this is the inbound rule. Now we have added the port 80, isn't it, in that, which means even if we don't mention the outbound rule, we didn't mention the port 80, but it will still allow the port 80 outbound traffic as well. Even if we suppose remove this rule, let's say we are deleting this rule, it will still allow whatever inbound rule we have mentioned. So 80, 22, 443, it will allow all three to the outbound also, even if we don't mention it. So this is called stateful. Now what are the stateless? Let's go to the network ACL, and you can see for the network ACL, we have to explicitly allow or explicitly deny. Okay, for both the inbound and outbound also. If we don't explicitly allow it, it deny by default. Okay, so this is stateless. That's why it's called stateless. Now understand it. Now let's look at the next difference. Now the fourth difference is that while for the security group, we allowed all the rules before deciding whether to allow traffic or not. It's very important. So let's say, for example, in the security group, let's go to the security groups, and you can see before allowing, or like before allowing it, look at all the rules. Okay, then only it allow it. So let's click on that. Let's say inbound rules, it go check all the rules before allowing it. But for the network ACL, you already explicitly mentioned, right, you allow it or deny it. But if it's just, and now we have the rule numbers also. So the very first, suppose it's denied, it will deny. The very first is allowed and it's allowed. That's how it works for the network ACL. Now you understand the difference, how that works. Okay, now let's go to the next difference. The security group applies to instance only if someone specify the security group when launching the instance and associate the security group with the instance. Now I already shown you. For the network ACL, automatically applies to all the instance in the subnet that it associate with, Therefore, it provides an additional layer of the defense if the security groups are too permissive. So this is kind of additional layer of security. I've already shown you how it works. And suppose you are not have to explicitly add your instances to this network ACL because it added to the subnet level. So you associate the subnet with the network ACL. So any resources launched under that particular that subnet is by default will go through this layer of security. Okay, and that's how why this is so important. Okay, now you understand all that. So now I hope that you understand what exactly is the route table, what is internet gateway, what is network ACL, and what is security group. And all these four concepts are so important that you cannot imagine unless you jump into the actual AWS regular job, or maybe if you're already in the job, you already know how much this is important. Now I have explained that all very simple way possible. Now work with that, and I hope it will help you in your day-to-day job. And if you really like the session, do like this video, share this video with others, and do subscribe the channel and click on the bell icon so that whenever I upload this kind of exciting videos, you will get notified immediately. And hope to see you all in the next session. Bye.